She serves on the boards of directors of several companies. She's the owner of Alvarado Construction. She has 35 years experience in large, multi-million-dollar commercial development, government and institutional general contracting, construction management, design, build, and program management contracts. And ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to join me in welcoming Linda Alvarado.
I don't have a speechwriter. I'm on the plane this morning trying to do things. And so I was on a construction site at 6 a.m., which sounds early, but it isn't for our business because, you know, we get to happy hour before happy hour. And it worked out fine. So I want to thank Maria. But more than that, as I look across the room, I get an adrenaline rush, literally, not figuratively, but... And when I look at who I say is my cousin, Kathy Sandoval, we got to be related somehow. My mom was a Sandoval también. We don't just speak the language and walk the talk. We also have it in our heart. And that's who we are as Latinas, Latinos, Puerto Ricanos, Dominicanos, Sudoamericanos. That's who we are. And we can't forget that. So you touched my heart also, Kathy, and how familia is as important as our title, how much money we earn, and the fact that reaching out and remembering always that the reason we're standing here, and I'm standing here today nervously because I'm not used to combing my hair, and I had to do that because I had a hard hat on, because once you put the hard hat on and the makeup comes off from here up, it's not a good story. So I say it with respect to all of you, and I think everybody was touched here. There is a cycle of life, they say, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that, not directly what you're talking about, but kind of the evolution and revolution of what we've all been through. And as I look around the room, I'm saying, my God, look what we've done. Look what you've done. And this is only a small representation of what our community is focused on. I want to thank Julian, who chased me. Where is he now? Chased me, he left. Okay. To come here and congratulate him for being the president and CEO of this organization. We are unified in our goals to grow businesses, economic and educational empowerment. But each chamber and each group has a different approach, a different style, which is not bad. That's what makes us so good. So I want to compliment he and his staff for coordinating, communicating, and not just one event, what goes on for the other 360 whatever days a year. Ken, who I had the privilege of sitting with, as chair of the board, you and your board members should be thanked. I have not had a chance to see a lot of people because I had to comb my hair. But Merlinda Guzman, who I was a blessing to see, and I hadn't seen her for a while. And the leadership here is diverse, but unified. It is male, it is female, it is a contractor occasionally here, confused. And Ruben, I liked your comments. But I have a question for you. If God were standing up here and standing next to me was Roberto Clemente, would you think he would say he is Walter Rhodes' cousin or mine? Both. Because color of our skin is not necessarily part of the DNA. So in an interesting sort of way, he represented bringing communities together, doing things to make a difference. So you have no opinion on what God would say. As long as you're in favor of the National League, I'm okay with it. So thanks to all of you. Talk about change. Where's the market right now? Does anybody know? Get those blackberries out. Where's the market? Up, down, all around? It ended up, okay? For the first time in the history of the stock market, it has moved up and down for the last 4 days, more than 400 points. We've also experienced a downgrade of America's credit. Not Hispanic American credit, not African American credit, not Asian American credit, American credit, below the AAA rating. These are times we've never lived through before. And I'm not certain our parents lived through it. There's a depression, a recession, a double dip, a triple dip, whatever you want to call it. But where we are right now, I ask you, is this secular or is it secular? I'm concerned that sometimes we get drunk on our own success as Americans, thinking that it's always going to be that way, and it will come back, and if we'll wait 3 months and this, that, and the other. I'm not negative, but we have to be realistic in the context of what is going on. And if you watch the talking heads on television, and I'm not talking the political guys, I'm talking about the economic people, that as a business owner, do you sell? Do you buy? What do you do? And it's not confusion, but we need to make sure that it's not a negative look of where we came from when this organization started 30, how many years? I wasn't alive. 30, how many? You were alive. You don't know? 32. I might have been alive, but not old enough to drink. We're at a critical juncture, and we've got to talk about this. This is not a political statement. I love to have fun, drink, eat Cheetos, I'm an addict. But the reality is, no matter what business you're in, and whether you're a small business, a large business, a medium-sized business, a corporation, an elected official, a school teacher, part of a district, it's affecting all of us. And it's not just affecting our community, but disproportionately, perhaps, it might. What are we going to do? If I had all the answers, I wouldn't have to be here. I'd be in the Bahamas right now, having pina coladas. We have to take a position that we've got to pay attention. And it's not just about us, it's about America. But more importantly, it's about our kids and our grandkids. I, for one, am not willing to accept that my children, or someday my grandchildren, will have a lower standard of living than I have. I've been there, done that, haven't you? Where are the resources? Where's the ability? Where are going to be the people who come together who may not believe it was always that way and will always stay that way? We have to be careful. While people have myths about us, good and bad sometimes, like all Hispanics have mustaches, I've tried to trim mine. We have to have a clear and definitive business plan that we cannot also fall into this stereotype because we're making progress or because our population is growing, things are going to get better because we'll be the majority. California would be an example of that, but do we want to be the majority minority where we're the largest population, but we are not able to get into the game and be able to enable America to grow and continue to have that talent pool, that resource base, and that American dream. I heard the other day that the American dream is dead. Are you serious? I'm just getting into the game and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up. But if we hear that and we tend to believe it, and we might, please be a realist. These are not good times. My conversation today is not meant to be negative, but I say as a business owner, and as someone who has to play baseball players a lot more than most of us make, you have a no-cut contract? No? Okay. We can't wait. We can't prolong what it is we're doing. Do we save the cash, which we're going to do? We're working hard to cut costs, but we just can't cut costs for cost's sake. You have to cut costs, but what do you do beyond that? You cannot save your way to prosperity. The world has changed. In business, the terminology is called now the new norm. You've heard that? I used to have a boyfriend named Norm. Isn't there a TV show called The Old Christine? Hopefully it's not him. But the new norm in business says that all the models that we have used in the past, even as we sit here today, something has changed since I landed on the airplane. And why is that? The communication about the internet being so fast in Korea, that make me feel good? No, it did not. It's not envy. It's saying in order to be competitive, it's not just competitive in the restaurant or the construction business, it's competitive in the technology to enable us to get there at the time where our population is growing and we have success stories. And we don't just have momentum, we have runway. Bringing together communities, not just if you're Hispanic, not just if you're African American, whether you're a corporation, a nonprofit. Some corporations now are nonprofits. And the reality is that we cannot do business the way we did before. The problem is, culturally, this is the way we've always done it. I learned this. I went to school. I took this course in. I'm not smarter than a 5-year-old or a 5th grader to learn how an iPad. And the technology change, even in my business, which is brick and mortar, is phenomenal. And it says that if I don't adapt and if I don't learn, if I don't do it quickly, I'm history. Now, that's not scary. It says that you have chambers like this that are coming together to share that expertise, to build alliances, corporate sponsors. I need to recognize and acknowledge that this is not a social initiative. It is a business initiative. And Pac Bell and SBC, when we went on this committee with, Lou Osborne. Yeah, but sitting there, they said, well, we can buy pencils, we buy donuts. We said, that's fine, but where are you gonna put that in your annual report? How many donuts do you have to buy to, put it in the annual report? You need to do more than that, and you know what? That was a business decision that is reflective in why businesses are succeeding today. Job creation means that we're gonna have to spend money to make money. Where are we gonna get that money, okay? We cannot simply reduce. We have to acknowledge budgetary constraints, and if you're working for the state of California, the state of Colorado, a city, a state, school district, you've got to save money to make money. And cutting back and trying to figure out where I'm going to put it is one of the things we need to discuss as individuals, as businesses, and beyond our community. Because access to capital, creation of jobs, we have to get in the game, get involved, raise our hand, write a letter, do some things. Now, whether you're a member of the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the Tea Party, or the Tequila Party, I don't have all the answers, but we've got to get into the game. And it's like the flood. Why didn't I see the water coming? The water is coming. We should not be negative about where we are, but realistic. The new normal is about rebuilding how we do things, investing technology, changing marketing approach, speed to market. Am I doing marketing on the internet, not just my website? What am I doing when I'm sitting at the Rockies game? Probably have my BlackBerry and I'm doing something with AT&T. Thank you for upgrading our service, by the way. Everybody is happy. But it's about redefining and going where? Forward. Optimistic, realistic, but if our communities do not step up now, you cannot wait. Wait for what? The cycle, I can't tell you myself. Should I sell, should I buy, those kinds of things. We have to come together, change the models that have worked for us in the past, and begin a dialogue and a communication that is directed with this finger, not pointing, but these fingers reaching out. And if that does not occur and our community is not part of the process, it doesn't matter how many there are of us. I was telling her I couldn't introduce all my cousins if they were here. I had 127 first cousins. And those were just the first cousins. Wow, okay. I'm a business person like you are. I'm here not because I have a card or a title or people thought my husband started the business or my dad, and they didn't. They were smarter than I was and went on to better things. But like you, growing up, was your goal to survive? No. Growing up, did your mother ever tell you, we're poor? We just didn't buy, extra big bags of whatever they called them, cereal. We ate cheese that came in a block. You know what I'm talking about? They call them commodities. And my mother was very entrepreneurial. She would trade them, cheese for flour. But it was never an issue of that. And what she told us was we had to go out and do something to help other people, even though we were probably living week to week. So my brother and I, I'm a younger brother. I have 5 brothers, no sisters. I'm happy to give them away. My younger brother is now the district attorney in Albuquerque. He and I started a little business, kind of, and we go door to door to rake leaves and sweep the lawns and water the plants. And this, my mother and father said, was an initiative not to build a bank account. This was about building our character. And I think that's how we're doing it, in different ways, and including not just our community. So let me keep going here, because I missed my plane anyway. The important thing is what you did preceding this. Acknowledging, recognizing, rewarding, encouraging, and inspiring the people that came up here. And that's part of how we're going to get there. But it's not just the words we give, it's the things we do. And I see that all over the place. I get paid to speak in a lot of corporate America and other things. It's a really cool deal because when I go home, my husband pays me not to speak. I'm not getting paid to speak here. So as an entrepreneur, which everybody is, I don't care if you're in a corporation, outside of a corporation, everybody is an entrepreneur these days. You got to get in the game, raise your hand, get some ideas, try some new things, take some risks. Very interesting, while we've been sitting here, I was just thinking, how do you sustain where I got here today? You've got to change. It's not just changing the hairdo, and I don't have to wear those little ties anymore. When I went to the bank, remember the ties? They're in the Smithsonian now. It's not just about looking about the part. It's about coming together and making sure when we come to these conferences, we learn from each other. And the idea is to agree and disagree, to talk about strategies, not just how great we've done, but all the things I screwed up on. And I got to tell you, we could be here for a very long time. Screw is a construction term. So it's one good idea or one good concept got you here today, and you'll sustain it. But we have got to be aware of the storm, the cloud, like Napoleon, okay? Greatest general, world conqueror. He was about this tall, okay? Got stopped crossing the Alps by a little tiny snowflake. Why didn't he see the storm coming? Did he not listen to the weather report? We have to be careful that we don't thrive on our success. On the other hand, stand up, take a bow, acknowledge the success we have because we need to have that momentum completing. Embracing change is not easy, but it's a necessity if we plan to stay in the ball game. And I apologize for the analogy, but it's not to just play the game. We have to win, but not at somebody's expense, with morals, within the rules of the game, and that is what we can do. There's a casual recognition. Are you kidding? I got a new iPad and I'm in training. Every time I turn around and I drop my BlackBerry, AT&T, I drop my BlackBerry. Okay, but I get a new one, I have to retrain, and you always change the cord, so I have to change the charger a bit. The nature of nature is evolution. What happens in nature? If you don't evolve, what happens? You become a fossil. I'm not aware of any institution that is built for fossils in business. Know any? Today, you're here. Today, I'm here. And the communications that we have, the decisions we have to make, we can make. But it's going to be looking and relooking and finding ways that we can be more efficient, understand it's not local competitors anymore, it's global competitors. Even if you can borrow money at the lowest rate, what are you going to do with all that cash? It's a vest and revest. It's almost, in many ways, making sure that that talent pool that works for us is the right talent pool going forward. Change is hard. I spoke to a group of people in Texas at a keynote speech, and part of the comments is what we were talking about today, is about change. And it's not just change in ourselves. How do we bring about change that betters the society and betters the communities we live in? So after the program, a woman came up to me and said, "Oh, I was so inspired by your remarks. I've been thinking about it, and I'm going to run for city council." I said, "Wow, that's great." And she won. Another woman came up to me and said, "Linda, can I have a picture with you?" And I said, "Oh, sure." She said, "I have decided to become a nun." So I looked at my notes to see what I had said. But what it was is our choices are going to be different. That's the beauty of the American dream. Increasing recognition that we have choices that our parents and our grandparents did not have. Taking a risk is going to be hard because change is always difficult. When I first started business, I was under so much scrutiny. They thought I was strange, they thought I was confused, they thought there was a mental problem, they thought I was trying to make a feminist statement, and in reality, I was afraid too, because I thought if I failed, they were just waiting for that and they would eat me alive. And in reality, you have to step into the plate and do some things. Let me just quickly go through this because I know we have a time schedule. I don't, I'm free, I can be at the bar. My husband's in Boston, You're not gonna work with the same people you did in the past. Not that they're dead, but there's 4 generations sitting at these tables. Are you an X? Are you a boomer? What are you? You're pretty old, what are you? The new norm is that we're gonna have generational differences, which may be termed as the Y generation. I'm sorry there's no X in that, but X types, they email, they text, they do this kind of stuff. Y people, see if you can identify yourself, make phone calls. Z people, they say, "Could you come to my office?" Very different model. Speed to market, so the approach to work and communication has changed. It's challenging and uncertain, but you know what the good news about this is? It's challenging and different, and the norm that was not there, that was there in the past, is something that we can do. Balancing the margins between increasing transactions, right? We need to grow sale because our share owners are expecting it, so we grew sales, but our margins are lower because of commodity costs. Looking at the size of your organizations, and do we develop it into units? Is there a price value in what I offer, or is there a value? Quality. So let me just say, not like a facelift, which I need, but I can do excavation and support, but not that kind. We're in the process of a business makeover to mix profitability with margins, balancing investment in new ideas, and looking at what we need to do. So let me move quickly to the end of this here, but in my business, which is viewed as brick and mortar, we need LEED certification to qualify because what's going on? So even to get to the thing, we need to be certified. Sustainable design, engineering, construction. It's no longer competitively bid, it's now design build, where you partner and you evaluate and you take on some of the risks. IT systems, scheduling. When I first started, I'm not that old, they did it on the back of a napkin at the donut shop in the morning, they turned it over at drinks, and they did it on the back of the coaster at the bar that night. But scheduling and looking and being able to hold it in your hand as opposed to rolls of digital things. Blueprints, we don't have to send out things anymore. We get people on the website. They bid on the website. Truck rolls, GPS tells us where we're going. Are we implementing it? Are we doing it right? UPS, this, that, and the other. So 3D design, I don't know, my husband, I build restaurants for him. He says that's the only reason I stay married to him, and I assure him that's the only reason. He doesn't like the word change order. 3D modeling, if we have the initiative to do that, we can prevent some of the interface, some of the things that are not discovered till you get there. Let me just close by saying a couple of things here. Everyone talks about leadership, right? Even if you're in elementary school, you know, you're the leader of the pack, maybe not the rat pack, but the soccer pack. But what is the difference? And I've tried to figure this out, and we're working on, I have a diverse organization. Leadership versus management. Where do I fall? Leadership versus management. Let's talk about how we think. Leadership originates those ideas. Management initiates. In my thinking process, leadership focuses on people, and management focuses on things and objectives. Leadership looks outward. Management tends to look inward. Direction setting. As a leader, I have vision, but I need somebody who can actually execute the vision with operating plans. The vision that you're going to be having, which you already have, hopefully not nightmares, but good things, to create the vision, to see the forest instead of, like management, only seeing the trees. And the environment that we're in right now, we're having to concentrate on the trees, because what are we going to do during this period of time? So methods of operation, I just created some things. We have a good time, and we always have Cheetos at our meetings. I was telling them, you know, they come to work, and their partner or their spouse or somebody picks them this cool little lunch. It's whole wheat bread, fat-free cheese, turkey, and carrot sticks with fat-free ranch dressing to dip them in. And we just stop at 7-Eleven and get Cheetos and ding-dongs. But the focus on effectiveness and efficiency is what everybody's talking about. But the distinction I make is that effectiveness does the right thing. Efficiency does things right. The methods of operation is we're going to create change, and the change we create also be managed. In my organization, nobody works for me. They all work with me. And I only hire people smarter than me, and they will tell everybody how much smarter they are than I am. I remember when the Beatles first came. I was in 3rd grade. My father was trying to explain to me those greñas that they had, and he assured me that their names were John, Paul, George, and Gringo. But think about the message. And when you leave here today, is it, here comes the sun? Or is it, the long and winding road? Or, help, I need somebody. We got to be positive in what we can do, and we can do that. Let me just close by saying, I pinch myself every day. What am I doing here? I'm not extraordinary, I'm ordinary. And I look around the world to say, it begins around a table with people. And if you're Hispanic, it normally involves a lot of food. But opening day, I hate to say it, 20 years ago in Rockies, 1993, I'm standing out there. The story of my life is 5 guys and a girl, so I'm out there standing with my 5 boy partners and me. And there were 80,000 people in the stand, and the old Mile High Stadium, we built the new one in Vesco Field, but it had metal on the flooring, you remember? And so when you go there and beat the hell, you're, you know, like terrorism. We're standing there, and it was like Denver came into the big leagues. And my partners, some of which you know, Peter Coors being one of them, the tears came down their eyes. You'd say, what? Why? It wasn't about the team. It was about getting into the big leagues and having Denver look like not a cow town, and getting our community into the big leagues knowing that every Latino player in baseball is on that batting roster and playing that position, not for the sake of affirmative action, checking a box or a percentage, because he's had the opportunity, and creating that level playing field is what we're looking for. And I received a letter, and when you commented, it brought the memory to me. About 4 days later, and I'll close with this, but 4 days later, I got a letter from a woman I'd never met, a Latina. And she said, "Oh, congratulations, very nice handwriting. At first, I didn't recognize you." I'm saying, "You didn't recognize me, all these guys." And she said, "You look so short and petite with all these men." But she said, as they began to play the music and introduce the players, and your hair was blowing in the wind, you seemed to grow in stature. And it was as if everything my grandparents and my parents had hoped and dreamed for. And every time I look at you, get your business card, and read that line that's written in the LA Times or the I can't go to all the newspapers, that's the sense I have. Let us be certain that you can't just put on the uniform and play the game, put on the tie and dress the part, have the BlackBerry. You have to take the time, get into the game, don't assume people will come to you, raise your hand and ask for more, because the worst that can happen is you might get it, and then you have to perform. The best that can happen is you get that and you get more. A sense of direction. Failure is the only thing I know that I can succeed at without trying. The difference is that while some people act, others continue to dream. God, in her wisdom, I didn't even pay you to do this. That's good. God, in her wisdom, in creation, has given each of us two ends. The choice is ours as individuals. Which end of the anatomy do you choose to use? I think it's clear. Heads you win, tails you lose. Gracias por todos. Adelante con orgullo.